Hello and welcome to Camera Central Podcast. Today we're going to be doing one of those really famous things on the internet, which is a tier list of our favourite stuff from this year.
Okay, you're gonna have to guide me through this because I have no idea what we.
So basically, what we've got is a list between S and F,
Yeah.
and we're going to list our favourite products of this year in corresponding things. I am, however, going to be writing via my pen instead of using images because I have not really looked in further detail on how to do this properly.
That's fine, but we're just gonna see how we end up.
Yeah.
That'll be good fun. Cool.
Okay, so let's go. What was the first camera on the list of cameras this year?
So the first one, this is not necessarily in release order, okay?
Okay.
So the first
That's
one.
all the right notes, but it's not necessarily in the right order.
Yes. So the first one is the Nikon Z50 II.
Z50 II.
Yes, which came out this year in November. It did, yes.
Oh, I was reading it like 52.
No.
When you're talking about cameras,
Z50 Mark II. Fine. Z50 Mark II. That's what I said. They all understood. You didn't.
At the moment, I'm going to put it in around about a C to B tier because we're about to actually test it. I haven't actually done it
I
yet.
was thinking C.
You were thinking C?
Yeah, it's in the middle, isn't it? I mean, we haven't been sent it yet to test or try or anything like that. I think it's definitely one that needs to go in the middle somewhere.
So first, you're going to put it in the C. What would you reckon in the C tier?
So I've sold a few of them already, I'll be honest with you, because we've had them in the store. And the Z50 is a great camera. It is. In terms of like popularity, brilliant, because it was realistically the only choice.
Yeah.
You had either that or the Z30, which didn't have a viewfinder, which was mostly vlogging video, Nikon's response to like the ZV-10 market with Sony and Canon's, stuff. And then there was the ZFC, which was essentially the same sensor as the Z50, just in a film style body. But from what I've seen and what I've heard, it's a relatively good camera. We just personally haven't yet had the chance to get hold of it.
Yes.
So
we'll put it in the middle because we have decided as to if it's a good camera or not.
Exactly.
But what we'll do in the video is actually tell, I can't see it from that point of view. We'll actually tell you where we think it lies afterwards.
Yes. Following from that, the next one is the Panasonic S9.
Oh, what two?
Nope, S9.
Oh, the S9. Is that this year, is it?
Yes, it was this year. How short term is your brain?
Well, how short? It's just been a freaking fast year.
It has been a fast year, but yes.
S9. Now, this is, I think, one of those ones which is a bit controversial to a certain extent. I think I liked it. I think it was actually a very good camera. Is it does it deserve S9?
No, I wouldn't say so. It's a great vlogging camera. I actually sold one to the guy that owns the donut shop in the other arcade.
Oh, is it?
Who called? And he came and got one, and I'm pretty sure he uses that for his social content.
And for that kind of stuff, I think it works really well because, of course, you've got the open gate. It does 6.2K, I believe. And you got the amazing stabilizer, which is very popular.
It's just a good, solid camera for vlogging. That's what it is.
It's a good, solid camera. I think it's a camera that's trying to take the crown off the head of things like the X100VI. Does it do that? I don't think it quite reaches that.
No.
I think for what it is, it's very powerful, and I would put it on the upper tier of the chart.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good one. I don't think it's S. I think it's between A and B.
I would go B.
You would go B?
Yeah.
Oh, we might be pissing some people off.
I would go B. Sorry, Panasonic or Lumix. Mainly because, and I'll be honest with you, in terms of, and this is just from our store, so this is not to say that generally across the board it's been like this. I haven't sold that many. I haven't had many people ask about it, but it is a good alternative option for people who want to drop on something where they don't want to migrate to another brand. So it does fill a gap, definitely.
It does fill a gap. I think it's a very powerful tool. I think they have locked themselves off a little bit, especially with just having a cold shoe on the top of the camera, because it's just a cold shoe, not a hot shoe.
Right.
It's a bit kind of like, that's a bit, don't know about that.
Kind of knocks it a bit.
I did like using it though. I think it is interesting. I don't think it deserves S though.
No. Well, fair enough. So now we're on the big bad boy. Big bad boy.
Big bad boy.
Big bad boy.
This was only done the other day though, wasn't it? Only released the other day.
Yeah, Sony A1 Mark II. I'm going to put it in S.
A1 Mark II? I would argue that.
Why?
I think it's a great camera. I
Yeah.
genuinely do. I think it makes a already pretty much perfect camera. It does deserve an A. It does deserve S. It does deserve S,
Yeah.
but I think people wanted more from it.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's something which I don't know if I could
Do you know
ignore
what would have just
just
tipped
because we
it?
might be Sony
Do you
fanboys.
know what would have just tipped it slightly?
What's that?
Is if they made it the global shutter. I think that's what would have made people
Yeah,
more
with the
convinced.
global shut, I think you're going to end up
It's a
having a
give or
whole
take
host of
thing.
issues
It's
more
a
with
give or
that.
take thing for us because we're in it, right?
Yeah.
But for a general user who's, you know, a pro photographer, doesn't care about all the tech babble, blah, 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 blah bullshit,
Yeah.
it's got to be the global shutter because that's what's driving people's interest at the
Okay.
moment. So,
All right.
yeah.
So this is where I'm going to stand with it. All right. If you take the A1 out of the question,
Yeah.
all right, it's an S tier,
Yes.
full blown S tier, because it is pretty much a perfect camera.
Yes.
But because the A1 already exists,
Mhm.
kind of detracts from it being a perfect camera.
Yeah.
Because the A1 is close to it, and it does most of the things the A1 II does.
Yeah, I agree.
Would I swap out my A1 for it? I am tempted to. I'm not going to lie. But is it enough of an upgrade to consider an £800 increase?
It's the redesign that's probably the
800,
biggest
yeah.
thing. Like, because it's what is it, A93
Yeah.
body, and so it is a very different camera to feel and get your hands around. It's what the original A1 should have been.
Yes.
Okay, I agree. A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
sorry,
agree.
Sony. I know this is something which
Yeah.
I feel like if we are going to be tough on cameras, we've got to be kind of like tough on
Rigorous.
them.
Yeah.
All right.
100%. Yeah. So it is going to be the A1 Mark II in A for Alpha, Sony. So moving on.
Still a great camera. Not saying it's not awesome because it is awesome.
Moving on. Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. Do you know what? I'm going to be real. I'm going to put this in the same as the S9. I'm going to put it in B. And do you know why?
You've been far kinder to it. Than
I am
would
being
have
kind to it, but it's because I didn't rate the ZV-E10. I'll be honest with you. I didn't. Right?
Yeah.
I thought, what a crock of rubbish. And then they brought the Mark II out and it made it actually usable
been. Okay.
for a particular reason, which is that portrait reorientation.
You just do love that.
Love
a bit
it.
too much.
Social media manager. Gonna love it.
Okay.
Right? And I have sold 3 of them
You're gonna have to sell me on
to
it,
social
on
media
a B.
managers because it actually provides a purpose, whereas the previous one I didn't feel like it did.
Okay.
And it was a 4K camera. It was great.
Okay.
You know, whereas this has purpose, has intent. It's quite a powerful unit in terms of 4K. I believe it's 4K 60 or 4K 30 standard.
Yeah.
S-tone introduced as well.
Yeah.
S-Cinetone does give you a lot more viable options. You know, there are loads of people out there that will buy one. Definitely.
Yeah.
So they've peaked the market in that respect. Fully rotational screen. Yes, it doesn't have a viewfinder. Do you need it though? No, you don't.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? For the content creation that you're
you
doing.
don't.
You know, you can put any microphone on it. You can do all the good things, you know, that a video content, vlogging, social media manager is going to do. Marketing person. It's very idiot proof. And it suits the people who don't really know a lot about cameras. They just want a good camera for their content creation business.
I'm going to allow this to go past in a B. I feel like there's an argument for lower to be harsh to it because.
But it's also a very good selling camera.
It's a very.
We've sold a lot of them.
Okay.
You know,
it's not my cup of tea, is what I'm saying.
I get that. I get that. It's not mine. I wouldn't buy one, but because I have an A7R5, why would I? Which is currently filming to do it. But you know, in terms of our customer base, it's a real camera that really could be very useful to someone. Whereas they wouldn't probably feel that, you know, not everyone's going to buy an A1 II.
Yeah.
They get that, right? Not everyone's going to buy an S9 maybe.
Yeah.
Because Sony dominate the market. So I'm going to put it there.
Okay, no problem.
The Z6 Mark III from Nikon. I am going to go, can I be really biased?
I might actually think of S as
Okay,
well.
I'm thinking S. And do you know why? Nikon smashed it with that camera.
Yeah.
There's no question of it.
And like, just to clarify, yes, we are putting it above the A1
Yeah.
Mark II,
Yeah. Well,
but this is for what it's worth to kind of like where it sits in the market,
yeah.
right? The A1 Mark II is priced completely out of
Very different.
Z6 Mark
It's
II. If we
3
were
times
doing
the
like a
price.
£2,000, a £5,000 list, I mean, you know, it's the
A1
A1
II
is
BS.
better,
Yeah, it is. There's no
but
question.
Z6 Mark III, I think, offers the best price.
Best price point, best specifications,
Yeah,
the best focusing system Nikon have ever brought out
yeah,
because it utilizes the Z8 and the Z9 focusing system. It's 26.4 megapixel. It's capable of doing all of the frames per second that the Z8 and the Z9 will do. It is the ultimate hybrid in terms of price point.
yeah.
It does very well on video. The only downside is that you're stuck with Nikon Z mount. And that's the only downside in terms of you can't go to
But
Sigma and buy
even
one.
there, you can get E-mount adapters.
Yeah, I know,
And
but would you
because of
want
that
to?
large mount, it's like I would be tempted to try something out on that.
Yeah.
And it's what I would say with the ZF in particular is I would, if I was to get a Nikon camera, it would be a ZF because it would be a camera that I would want to shoot with just for fun.
Yeah,
If I was to
I
get a
agree.
workhorse camera and looking at the
Mm-hmm.
what you get out of the market today,
I
I
agree.
think the Z6 Mark III is definitely a high contender in that list
Yeah.
without considering any sort of bias to any brand.
Having been a Z6 II owner, I would have upgraded it.
Yeah.
And there's no question. Like, I know we've put the A1 II down lower. You know, like you said, is there much of an
It
upgrade?
feels almost dirty
But
to me because
but
I
with
like the A1 too.
but with the Z6 II to the Z6 III, there is a significant reason to
Yeah.
upgrade. The focusing's better. It's faster. It's just better in every respect, apart from the megapixel count. But the megapixel count is nice enough for your wedding photographers. Wedding photographers are going to love this camera, right? It'll do 120 frames a second.
Yeah.
If you want to do that at a wedding, that's up to you. Low light performance on the Z6 is the best low light performing camera on the market, in my opinion, and it is insane. It's like putting an FX3 low light sensor in a stills camera. It's insane. And you know, look, I know I was Nikon, I now shoot Sony.
Yeah.
But I loved the Z6 lineup. It was just insanely beautiful to work with.
Yeah.
The only downside with the Mark 1 and the Mark II, the focusing was shocking. But in comparison to say Sony's one.
Definitely. So I feel like we're both agreed. And I'm not even going to
Yeah.
argue that Z6 Mark III was a brilliant camera.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Good
Right,
camera.
so this one's for you. Okay, I think I know where you're going to put this one. It's the Fujifilm XM5, the little tiny powerhouse.
So with what we're talking about,
Mhm.
and this is the only way I'm going to really argue it for where I would put it personally. And if I'm honest, I'm actually looking at buying one of these. I would put it S.
Okay.
Purely because of the price, kind of like what you get out of it as a unit.
Yeah.
799.
Yeah.
You get that and a kit lens.
Mm-hmm.
It does 6K, 0.2K. It doesn't have internal stabilization. It has those great film LUTs. It has the same sensor as some of its bigger, more badass brothers.
Yeah.
And overall, it's tiny but mighty.
Yeah.
I really like it as a pocket camera, and I'm personally looking to get it with the 27mm f2.8.
Yeah.
I want a camera to just have fun creating maybe little vlogs for myself, things that are not needing the quality which we put into this kind of stuff. Something a little bit thing. I would say S. You can argue with me on that. I think it definitely beats the ZV-10 Mark II.
I agree. See, I am a viewfinder whore. That's the problem.
You viewfinder.
I am a viewfinder whore.
Do you have view? How? Well, I guess you probably would.
I couldn't see myself buying a camera without a viewfinder. I'm just that.
Okay.
I'm just that way inclined. So I don't know. There's something for me stopping me buying it, which is why I'm more inclined to put it in A alongside the A1 II.
Okay.
Which I know is weird to say. But
yeah,
also
I think in this
APS-C,
situation, I would kind of allow it. Because it's not by all means kind of what we would expect to be out of a perfect camera. It's far from it, in fact.
It's very Fuji in the sense that it's APS-C in terms of sensor. So for it, if it was full frame, and I've been saying this to ages with Fujifilm, like you need to make a full frame. They won't. They've outright told me we will never make one.
I don't think it should.
But
I think
and they
it
don't
makes
need
sense that
to.
they do
But
the reason for it.
I want a Fujifilm full frame camera. That's what I want, because I will buy one now,
Yeah.
straight away, no questions asked.
Yeah.
Get me that and a 56mm 1.2, and I'll go off like no tomorrow, no problem. And a 35. But
Well, I feel like Fuji have got a lot of hype behind them. I feel if we put in like in terms of like growth in the last year, what brand would be in S tier? I would probably say Fuji.
yes,
In general, they've been just dominating.
it's insane. The GFX, our experience with
Especially
the
when you
GFX.
consider like the Instax mini series has got to be one of the most sold cameras in history.
Oh yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah.
Okay, I will
I
play
would say
devil's
A.
advocate. I think it deserves S for where it stands. If we're comparing it to what we did when it comes to the price, what you get for the price.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What you get for the price,
For
I think
800
S.
quid, honestly, brilliant.
I think
Brilliant.
it deserves an S for that if we are judging Z6 Mark III for that reason.
Okay. Okay. Can we put it in the middle? Can we put it between?
I'll put it in the middle.
Yeah, put it in the middle. I would say there. XM5. Right in the middle between S and A. We don't have to. That's kind of cheating, I suppose, isn't it? But, you know.
It is.
Yeah. It's sort of in the middle somewhere.
It's an ass camera.
Yeah. So. Okay. So.
Oh.
This one. From a brand we haven't mentioned yet. The Canon R5 Mark II.
R5 Mark II.
Wow. I actually really love the R5. I'm going to be honest with you. So when we went out and we shot with those birds of prey, you remember, with Cockney cameraman,
Yeah,
what's his name? We had an R5, original R5, and an R7.
yeah.
And I actually thought the R5 was exceptional in terms of quality. It's also not so high res that it's unmanageable. Ergonomically felt great. I'm just not used to shooting Canon, so I found it hard to figure out where the buttons are. But with a Mark II, and I haven't really had a lot of experience getting my hands on it, but I know it's not that much different to the original. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It was almost kind of underwhelming when they brought it out.
Well, it has very similar specs to what the R5C has.
But it's a great camera.
It's a great camera.
It's a brilliant camera.
This does fall under what the A1 II falls under in retrospect. I'm not saying it's an A. I don't think I would actually award it an A, to be honest.
I'd probably put it in the... I would say, and I'm going to be really harsh, I'd put it in the C category. And it's because I wasn't completely blown away by it. I was like, oh, yeah, Mark II version of the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
But then am I being unfair because it's an excellent camera and I said the same thing about the A1 too?
It might be a little bit harsh to put it C.
In that case, then,
I think it's a great camera.
Yeah.
And Canon, I do genuinely love you. This is purely just critical kind of like thinking here, because we got to also talk about the R1 in this particular situation as well.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it does a number of things right. It's... I don't really know if I can even say that. The trouble is, and this is where I would add to this, and why I think for now we'll put it in the C tier.
Okay, yeah.
We actually haven't had full hands-on chance to really test it.
Yeah, I agree. So it's going to have to be there.
So at the moment, and this is purely because the only chance that I've actually had to touch it was in Canon's HQ, and I could only touch it.
Yeah.
So
you couldn't really shoot
at this point, and this again, this is not because I dislike Canon. I think they're great. I really want to go back to them at some point.
Yes.
And I really want to touch that C80 then. So
yeah.
So right now R5 2,
C,
and with that, unfortunately, I think the R1 goes in there as well.
Yeah.
I will say, and this is a caveat here, the R1 felt amazing in my hand.
The R1 is impressive, but what it competes against, I felt it was underwhelming. I'll be honest with you. It competes against the Nikon Z9 and the A1 in terms of, usefulness, what you use it for. And I just felt it was a bit underwhelming in
Yeah.
that respect. But then Canon's point to that was, well, we only made it so many frames per second because you don't need 120 frames a second. And the answer is, yeah, they're right. But
Yes.
why would you deny your photographers something that you can get with another brand that they really might actually want, you know?
Yeah.
So there is that too. Moving on. Leica Q343. You know my opinion on this.
What's your opinion?
It's just not for me. I'm going to be honest. I just look, no disrespect to Leica because like our Leica content does really well, and I love Leica in terms of a brand, and I think they're onto something, and I think they've got the premium, and I think it looks great and it's awesome, but I just wouldn't personally buy it because I haven't got any use for it. You know, I walk around with a 61 megapixel sensor anyway. Do I think reintroducing it with a different lens is useful? Sure, if you're into that kind of thing. Yes, it has a macro feature. Great, cool. But would I spend that amount of money on something when I can get a better camera for less money? I don't know.
Right, where would you put it?
I would put it in D.
D.
Yeah, that's where I would put it because I just wouldn't.
Okay.
I might even go lower. I'm sorry, Leica, but it's a great camera. But it doesn't suit my purpose and what I would want to shoot with. I would never even consider it to be an option for me, but I would consider it an option for people who
So
walk around, do street photography, that kind of stuff.
this is the
I want a
thing.
premium camera for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is the point where the argument will probably ensue, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Q343, closest to the human eye. It's got great image quality. It's a Leica camera. It's built
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. Again, it's more designed for the street photography. It does have AF, which is unlike the Leica monochrome series, which doesn't.
Yeah.
Leica is kind of all about that kind of like simplicity.
I get it. I totally get it. I
Um,
totally understand why people want it. It's
I
just
can understand you putting it in D tier because I think your relationship with cameras is more kind of like practical based.
yeah, it's more practical based, but it's also kind of more, I want to say the word high tech, but that's not right. Complicated.
Complicated.
And I do other things that this camera wouldn't be suitable for.
Okay.
So, there's that.
Yeah. In terms of price, it's a very expensive camera. Do you get what you pay for out of that? Again, it comes down to people who use the camera and how it feels for them.
Yeah.
And in that respect, I was the one that actually used the camera. You didn't. Which is
Yeah,
why
this is true. This is right.
This
Yeah.
is why
And
I
again,
would
I'm sure if I
argue-
made use of it, it'd probably go up a tier or two, but I got
Put it this way.
It's not.
I would never use that camera professionally, or like I would never use a camera professionally. It would be a camera that I'd love to take, maybe be wary of taking on holiday. Something
Yeah.
that I would have experience shooting travel, street,
Look,
purely for the art of it, not the function.
I'm saying this because I would be more inclined for something like a M. Like an
Really?
M11D glossy
So where would you put the M11 then?
in my camera bag.
Where would you put it on the list?
I would put that probably at the B grade.
I am going to go against you and lift it up through my thought because
Okay.
I would have put the Q343 at probably a. You said D, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'd probably put it at a B, so I'm going to meet us in the middle on CC. For it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm cool with that. That's fine. Yeah. The M11 glossy though, not the normal M11D. Just because
I think that actually came out this year as well.
it
didn't
did, yeah. Yeah. So the M11D can go. I mean, I'm going with B.
Really?
But that's the camera that suits me more as a professional. I wouldn't buy a Q. I
I
wouldn't
would
want to
agree
feel
with you.
limited in the lenses that they've got.
I would agree with you. Just to talk on that, we did do a video on it. They're actually okay. The M11D, excellent.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. And it's kind of what every person who has enjoyed the function of photography
Yeah. It's got that classic
strives
look.
to get. And I think that's where
I would definitely
it lies.
buy the new glossy black M11D. 100%. 100%. And I would only buy it for documentary street photography. or quick portraits, or
One of the
as a
craziest,
backup to my
one of the
A7R5.
craziest experience I've had as a photographer, wedding photographer in particular. I did this wedding in Scotland. Did this wedding in Scotland,
Hmm.
and the wedding photographers, when it came to the dance,
Hmm.
just used the flash, bang the Leica on the highest aperture possible,
Yeah.
and put it on 125 or whatever,
Yeah.
and just took photos walking around the dance floor.
Right.
So they didn't even try. They weren't even looking down the viewfinder or nothing. They were just pointing it and clicking.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Do you reckon that's actually still?
Oh, it's still, yeah. I've
Yeah,
done that a few times, even with
yeah,
my Sonys. Where you're shooting like sometimes you want to get people off guard.
yeah.
I'm one of those people. I want to catch somebody, like, even though I could see them looking
There
at
is
me.
that. I do
And it's
stealthy
just shooting.
photos.
It's shooting like, oh, you put the camera by your side and you pretend not to shoot. Like that kind of vibe to it. It's
Yeah,
sort of revolver like
yeah.
way of doing it. Yeah, I'm all for it,
Okay.
100%. So next camera. So look, the Fujifilm X-T50. I love this camera.
This goes S. I think this
Yeah,
is it.
S,
S2.
100%. There's no question. Don't even
Okay.
hesitate. Get that bad boy straight at the top of the fucking list. 100%. And do you know why? They nailed it. And it's one thing for me. They nailed it with that film simulation dial on the top.
Mhm.
That film simulation dial
That
on
film
the top.
simulation dial was on the XM5 though as well.
I get that, but the XT50 was first, right?
Okay.
And I get it. That, to me, totally sensible.
But
Why
do you
didn't
know
you do it
what?
on the XT30s?
Do you know what? I'm actually comfortable with the XM5 going down.
Yeah.
We'll keep
The,
it where it is because I don't know if I've actually kept, I haven't kept it on separately.
if
So
if there's a Fuji camera that I'm considering, if I had the budget to buy now, considering I just dropped thousands of quid on my new camera, the XT50 would go in my bag as my street camera,
yeah,
definitely, and I'd probably put a 35 on it and just shoot like general street stuff, but then I would not be mad about putting a 5140 on there either, to be honest with you.
So yeah, I agree. XT50, I think I'd love to give it another go because we tried it out at a zoo for Fuji launch with the GFX 100S.
Yeah.
In which I think I would actually rank lower because it actually came out about the same time.
Mm.
And it was a lot of fun to shoot with. We did a more kind of like a wildlife photography to test out the autofocus. And it
Yeah.
handled itself pretty well. The XT50, a great kind of like film mode dials. Loved it. Really nice.
Yeah.
Woo!
So next one, yeah, you're gonna like this because I actually quite like this camera, and I don't normally like compacts. I think they're just pointless and rubbish, and why would you bother doing it? But like a D-LUX8, first time I've actually looked at a compact camera and gone.
I will let you go first. What do you reckon?
First time I've ever looked at a compact camera and gone, do you know what? I'd like one of them,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't like it for me. I'd own it and let other people try it.
Okay.
That's the kind of camera. That's the kind of camera it is to me.
All right, so we did a video on this year, and it's one of our top performing videos, and it's like a D-LUX8. I took it down Barry Bados,
Yes.
Gavin and Stacey Christmas special.
Yeah.
Just mentioned it so I can put it in the tags down below.
Yeah.
But it's a camera which I was like, I'm gonna hate it. It's gonna be absolutely terrible. It's got a micro four thirds sensor, because I'm a full frame snob apparently.
Yeah.
And it's just a Panasonic Leica, right?
Yeah. No.
I was pleasantly surprised. It's a camera I thoroughly enjoyed, although yes, you don't necessarily have the low depth of field that you'd expect out of other cameras with larger sensors. I got to say the image quality for me trying it out, loved it. I would actually just put it straight into S in terms of compact cameras.
Yeah.
Personally, because it's a camera that has surprised me.
Yeah.
It's a bit expensive for what it is. I can understand
It is
the hype
1,500
behind it.
quid. It's 1,500 quid.
Which, I guess to a certain extent, and again, you can I'm not final to say on the things. If you feel like it needs to go down, let me know. I would mark it as an S because I really enjoyed it and it surprised me.
Yeah, I agree. I would say put it in S, definitely. Yeah. Because there aren't many compact cameras out there on the market at the moment that are new and minty fresh that you can buy straight away, because most of them have been discontinued. Panasonic have discontinued most of their line. Sony, I think, are one of the only ones that are actually got anything of worth, and that's the RX100 Mark VII, which is what this camera would compete against. Canon G7X Mark III, but you can't get them for lower money. The D-LUX8 you can get, and it's 1,500 quid, and it's a good high quality compact camera.
Does everything really need it to?
It does everything you want, to be
Yeah.
honest. And if you're like a fanboy and you like, or fangirl, or fan they them, then you can, buy a compact Leica. Cool,
Yeah.
great, you know?
I wouldn't actually say it's the poor man's Leica because it's still very expensive.
Yes.
But oh,
Yeah. So where are we putting the D-LUX8? You put it in S.
yeah.
So this one, I think you got a major boner for, to be honest with you, which was the Pentax 17.
I'm not going to actually give it as high rank as you think I'm going to give it to you. I want to hear your opinion first.
I apologize for this in advance, Pentax. No,
No.
just no.
Okay.
If
process behind it, but be a little bit diplomatic.
Okay, if you're going to buy a film camera, buy something of, in my opinion, of caliber, right? It's like if you walked into a car show with loads of supercars and then you walked out with a Peugeot. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I personally wouldn't buy something that new at £500 when I can buy something like a Canon A1 for less money that I personally think is a better camera. Even though this was brought out in 2024,
Yeah.
the A1 brought out in what, the 70s, 80s? Absolutely knocks it out of the park in every respect. So for me, no, I don't get the hype about film. I'm not a film fanboy. I get it for those of you at home watching it. This is just my opinion, okay? And I can appreciate it, and I like it, and it's great. I wouldn't spend 500 quid on one. And that's the truth. That's just me, though. Knock yourself
Okay.
up. You can rip into that in the comments as much as you like.
To me,
To me, to
I
you.
was given the ability just before Wales and West to have a play with it.
Yeah.
And it is a camera which I think of quite fondly. And it's a camera that I was quite surprised at. So to give you a little bit more detail on it, it's a half frame camera, which means it's kind of like a film version of APS-C. So it basically takes half the frame, or I guess Micro Four Thirds actually. Be more Micro Four Thirds.
Relatively.
It's actually Micro Four Thirds. Because it's literally half, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine. I don't know.
Work out
Doesn't
there.
matter.
Anyway, so it's a half frame camera, and I went into it thinking that the image quality of it was actually just going to be absolutely shocking. I then decided to take some photos, went down City Road, which is this kind of like
very multicultural street.
very multicultural street, really lively, kind of really good food down there, and just testing it out, having some fun with it. And I was surprised at one, how sharp the images were for being so small.
Yeah.
And two, how much I appreciated the images out of it. So when it comes to the argument that I would have here with this is, I think as a camera by itself, it's a lot of fun and I would want to own one. I don't think I would want to pay 500 quid for it.
No.
And this is something which I have actually said to the guys at Pentax.
It's come down in price a little bit.
It's come
so
down
I believe
in
it's
price.
about 450 now.
450.
Roughly.
I think if they priced it a bit better from the go, this would have been the perfect Christmas gift.
If it was
full
250 quid,
yeah,
I'd have one.
Yeah.
Just so I can play with it. But no, I wouldn't spend.
So actively wouldn't put it S, wouldn't put it A, maybe B.
My opinion
C.
is put it into F. That's my opinion.
Fuck, man.
But you can say what you like.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you not like film cameras that much?
No, I don't. I really don't. Like I appreciate it. I appreciate medium format more.
Okay.
That would be more my thing. But I'm just not. I just can't get my head around it.
Right. Next time we do one of these, we're going to split it into two.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So we actually like.
Yeah.
I feel like because my score would probably reach.
Yeah.
I'd probably put it B because I really enjoyed shooting with it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do.
Where would you put it, and then we'll meet in the middle?
Well, I would say B. You say F. Yeah, you say an F for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I just would never buy it. So it's going to be D then.
Okay.
17. You can all scream at me in the comments about my comments about film photography if you like to, but here's the thing. It doesn't come from a place of hate. I just don't engage with it. It's just not for me. There we are. Next one, however, I do engage with, and I can see why. It's the Fujifilm X106.
Overrated.
It's overrated as hell, but it's
Okay.
a bloody brilliant camera.
It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
I think I would have one if I can see myself being a press photographer, right?
Yeah.
And having two big giant cameras. I would have one that just sits in my inside pocket. Just pull it out and take quick snaps of stuff up close and personal. Also, when I'm feeling like I just don't want to carry my big heavy stuff around, it's a great little pocket camera for that. And Fujifilm pitch it as that is exactly who it's for.
This is it.
It's for people who already have pro stuff, but like
they've
you
done
want
so
something
much
so small.
marketing in terms of like it being like a sidekick, and it's done really well. Actively, we can't really mark this. I would want to mark this under. That can't be this year as well.
Move on.
The X106. I can't necessarily say. Oh, it's got to be S, isn't it?
It's got to be because, and then it's making me think that the D-LUX8 needs to come down to A.
No.
No.
I would say D-LUX8 was probably one of the best.
Yeah, no,
ones
right,
against
yeah,
the X.
No, forget what I said.
If I'm honest, I would actually try and rank the X106 now because it is overrated. But
I put it in
we
A.
can't.
I put it in A, personally.
I think we've got to put it in S though, because it's had a very real substantial effect on the industry as a whole.
No, that was the 5. That was the one prior to it.
Okay.
And that's when it really changed the game, I would say. So I would say put it in A.
Let's put it in A.
Let me just check.
I still think it's a great camera. I just think in terms of like, does it deserve the hype it has? I don't think it does.
Yeah.
And that's
this next one deserves the hype though. It's the Sony A9 Mark III.
Is that this year?
That was this year. I've just checked it. Yeah. Spring of this year. Yep.
No.
Yep. Absolutely.
You're saying at the start of this year I went to Turkey try out the A9 Mark III?
Yes. Or do I sit and wait until I can afford either an A1 II or an A9 Mark III? I am more inclined for the A9 Mark III. And being completely honest, it suits me way more as a creator and as a photographer, and it's fast as hell. It has the global shutter. It has all this innovation, all this new stuff that I'm just like, yes, Sony. Because when Sony do well, it's when they do well on innovation.
Yeah, no,
that's why.
That's why. Where you can put it, sorry.
I'm gonna put it straight into S. I would say it does better than the A1 II in terms of how
I think for I think it would actually be a good idea to put it S. Again, actually, I feel like this falls. I feel like this falls under kind of like last year's cameras, just because of when I tested it out.
Yeah.
But the A9 III was and is an incredibly powerful camera. Great choice of technology. Really interested to see where Sony goes further with it. Was hoping they continued global shutters across their entire range.
Yeah.
They didn't do that with the A1 III.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is when it comes to global shutters, they don't actually do as well in low light. Which is why the technology for like higher resolution global sensors is a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
The A9 III, I think, like I said, it's the first in consumer global shutter cameras. I think it should go S. So I agree with you.
Yeah. I agree. Right, I think that's mostly it. The S5 II was 2023. SL3, Leica SL3, that came out this year.
Oh yeah.
So, so the next one is the Leica SL3. I think we know somebody in the shop who likes this a lot.
Yeah.
Mr. Caesar, if you're watching, Raphael, who actually bought one. I'll be honest, I've had a little play with his one. I'm impressed with it. Do I think it's as good as other cameras on the market that are similar spec? No, I would say it's probably down the bottom. Its AF system is sluggish, but is it a great high quality camera? Yeah. Does it feel good in the hands? Yes. Is it premium as hell? Yes. Are the lenses that go on it amazing? Yes. So I would go as far as putting this in B. But that's my opinion.
I'll put it in B.
Yeah. I think it's up there.
I think, yeah, it's a great camera. Again, tested it out. We've done a video on it. Just general street photography, so it's not really the best place to really test it out. The AF performance was a bit meh. The quality of the photos was all right.
Yeah.
In general, I don't think I could. I think B is pushing it for where it should be, but it's an all-round okay camera. If you want something premium or just something that says Leica on it that you could basically get out of a Lumix camera, then yeah, sure.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. I think that's mostly it.
No.
I think. These all came out last year. Okay, let's go back and have a look.
The only one last one I can remember. We're working off a list basically. The one last one I can remember is GFX 100S 2.
The GFX
100S 2.
I was blown away by it.
Did you actually? Of course, you had to play with it, didn't you?
Absolutely blown away. But this is coming from someone who's never really ever managed to get his hands on medium format digital before. The photos that we shot at the Alan Crom show day were just, it really made me understand why these cameras are so high res and why they're so expensive. For studio work, I would absolutely have a GFX camera. There's no question of it. For portrait work generally, I would. For product photography, absolutely. I would go as far as to say that Fuji is smashing it, like you said earlier.
I feel like if we were to rank
I would put it in A. I wouldn't quite put it in S.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's as
okay.
accessible as the system.
Yeah, okay. So is that reason the accessibility?
Yes.
And the price.
On the price point, yeah. But it's medium format. I mean, what are you expecting? You know, it's the cheaper. Like, you're comparing this against Hasselblad digital cameras, which are 5-figure sums. The lenses options, they're quite a nice selection of lenses, but it's not huge.
Well, you're not even going to get huge because no other.
You're not going to get third-party options.
They might open it up to Sigma.
They might,
but it's not as popular of a system yet. I think it will become popular.
That's it.
Really excited to see what they do with the Eterna, which is their cinema GFX 100.
Yeah.
I just hope that. So I tell you what, because this has probably gone on for a long time, and we should just wrap it up right now.
Because also we gotta go home.
But if you enjoyed this video and you want us to see, and you want us to create more videos like it, then make sure you like, follow, subscribe if you want to see more. Don't be afraid to put a comment in down below if you disagree with some of our opinions. This is just stuff that we think about personally, and doesn't actually, show kind of what the company thinks.
If you disagree, please say so, because we want to hear your opinion. We do value it.
Yeah, for sure. And all of these cameras were actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But this is what we are thinking when it comes to stuff. Anyway, please like, follow, subscribe if you want to see more. If you want me to replace Tyler with the Avatar, I will do. I'm just working on that at the moment. Tyler 2.0. And make sure, you're follow, subscribe.
That's it.
Yeah, what do you need to do?
You're really rubbish at this.
What?
Presenting.
Am I actually?
No, you're not.
Do you think I'm bad at
presenting? You just made a jab at me, so I made a jab at you.
Oh, okay. Meanie.
See you later.
Chat. Oh, I thought we would do the talking thing afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh.
Callum, Stuart, you're in the mail shot.